So a couple weeks ago, I did this video right here where I talked about poor leadership habits. And that video on this channel anyways did surprisingly well, and it actually initiated a ton of really great conversation in my DMs about the topic. And so I thought to myself, Mac, you're not necessarily done on this topic. There's a couple of more things that you could have expanded on or talked about that would really help present a little bit of awareness for people so that they can change or pivot in these habits. So I thought, seeing as though clearly you guys enjoyed it, that I would do a part 2 and talk a little bit more about some of the kind of poor leadership habits that I've seen in coaching and training managers that perhaps you might be falling into the same trap of, and how you can turn the beat around on that. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, please do hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get started. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new around here, well, my name is Mac and I'm a leadership coach, but I actually work specifically with first-time team managers and helping them to become effective leaders. So like I mentioned in the onset of this video, what I want to talk about is poor leadership habits. And of course, a couple of things that you can do to turn those habits around. So let's just get straight into it because I have a lot to say on this topic. So one of the things that I see quite often is passive aggressiveness in management, where a lot of managers are falling into this trap of like passive aggressive behaviors and dealing with their team members. Now, if you don't know what I mean, let me give you a couple of examples. So I've, talked to a manager in the past who has like straight up just told me like, I have a team member on my team who's not necessarily performing that well, and I'm just getting really frustrated with her, so I'm just like not even going to respond to her or even deal with her. Or I've heard things like, listen, Mac, at the end of the day, the reason why I'm not effective in my role is because I was just given a bad team. And I know that I have probably mentioned having had a conversation with someone like this in the past numerous times, but I think it's because it's probably one of the worst displays of like total abandonment that I've ever seen when it comes to like, accepting personal responsibility. And so that's probably why I mention it all the time, because it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But also it's like also a display of passive aggressive behavior where it's kind of like, well, the problem is with them. The problem is with my team, has nothing to do with me and my lack of competence. So I'm bringing these examples up because sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing it, right? That's the whole thing with patterns or habits, is that it's just something that we fall into. It's thinking that becomes very natural for us. So the pattern disruption that I want to make here is to let you know that passive aggressiveness when it comes to management is just so ineffective. In the past, I've talked about the fact that leadership is simply just personal development played out in public, right? So I can always tell how much you're working on yourself by how you lead and treat other people. And so when it comes to passive aggressive behaviors, that usually stems from like insecurity or self-doubt or just like this like general underconfidence. And so the antidote to that, like the antidote to not displaying these like passive aggressive behaviors, is by learning to be effective, learn to be competent so that your default isn't to avoid people or be vague with people or blame people, but that your default is to figure out a way to better reach people so that you can get what you need accomplished. So the second poor leadership habit that a lot of managers fall into is this trap of constantly seeking validation from their boss. And this happens particularly for new managers. And I think the reason this happens, and I can speak for myself because I've fallen into this trap before, is I remember doing it or seeking this validation constantly because I so desperately wanted to prove that they were right in making the decision to promote me. You know what I mean? I wanted to prove that, yes, like you made a wise decision. And so I'm going to consistently show you that you made that wise decision, right? And the way that I can show you is by making sure that I get that dopamine hit from you when you say, Mac, you did a great job. You know what I mean? And so this is something that I see constantly in also training new managers. And I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell them. That is unsustainable and not even very practical, because like most likely your manager doesn't even know how to give you the validation you need, right? Like that's number one. And number two, we shouldn't have to seek validation from other people to know that we're doing a good job. You should know that, hey, the reason that you were chosen for this role is for a specific reason and that you can absolutely do it. Now, do you have a lot to learn? Absolutely. But the fact that you were chosen to be in this role shows that you have the capacity to learn it. So you need to trust that. And instead of seeking validation from your boss, you want to trust yourself and look for the results that you're getting instead. So what are the results that you're seeing in your team? Are you guys high performers? Are you wowing your customers? Like, what are the actual results that are showing that you as a manager are actually effective? Anchor yourself in that rather than, like I said, seeking this dopamine hit of validation from your boss, because that is not what truly matters. The third poor leadership habit that a lot of managers fall into kind of like launches off the previous one that I was just talking about, which is making your default always just agreeing with what upper management says without first pausing, forming your opinion, and making a decision to either support it or push back if you have information that tells you otherwise. Now, I think that sometimes this happens, particularly for a new manager, because we tend to place way too much weight on a title. Listen, just because someone has the title of director or executive director or whatever the case might be, it doesn't mean that they have all the knowledge in the world. The other thing you have to keep in mind is that you are no longer an IC, which means that now that you're a manager, you are being paid to think. So defaulting to just whatever is said above you is not actually you doing your job. One of the things that I always remind my accelerator students is that you are the ones that are closest to the work. You are closest to the people doing the actual work, which means that you have information that people above you don't have. But what they're paying you for is for you to convey that information so that they can make wise decisions. So if you just always default to just doing whatever they say and then telling your team to do whatever they say, then you're actually not doing such a core component of your role, which is critical thinking. So make sure that you're not always defaulting to, hey, I'm just going to support whatever upper management says. I'm not saying that I want you to be a disruptor all the time. All I'm saying is I want you to critically think about what you're being asked to do. And if it makes sense, then of course, be that person that is supporting upper management in channeling the team to where they need to go. But if you feel like it doesn't make sense or that they need more information to make a wiser decision, make sure that you're actually stopping to think that through so that you can present it to upper management and state your case. At least then you know that you've done your part. Even if they come back and say, no, we're still going this direction, at least you know that you've done a huge component of your role, which is critically think about something before you actually execute on it. So the fourth poor leadership habit that I see quite often actually is leading the way that you want to be led. I oftentimes hear this sentence that's thrown around in the management space, which is, become that manager that you wish you had. And while that sounds really inspirational, and I understand that the intent behind it is to really inspire and motivate you to increase your leadership capacity, it's also kind of a misleading statement as well. Because the truth of the matter is you cannot lead people the way that you want to be led. So that means you cannot be that manager that you wish you had because people are different, right? For me, I'm just typically a very direct person. And so for me, I want to have someone just be direct with me, but not everybody receives directness the same way. And so I've had to learn in managing people that I have to adjust my communication style so that they receive what I have to say. And so for you, maybe you're direct, or maybe you thrive in ambiguity, or you thrive with autonomy. Not everyone does. And so you have to learn to adapt and make sure that those people have the structure that they need to be successful. Now, I'm by no means saying that you have to become a chameleon and switch hats with every single person on your team. But what I am saying is that you have to learn to be effective at leveraging your leadership style to reach people in the way that achieves results. That's what I'm saying. And to that point, if you really want to step up this year and you want to increase your leadership capacity, become an effective leader, and become an impactful leader that's able to get results, and I want to suggest that you book a call with me by using the link in the description box below to learn more about the Accelerator program and if it would be a great fit for you in helping you to achieve your goals. Okay, so the fifth poor leadership habit that I see a lot of managers fall into is living in the reactionary zone of things. A couple of months back, I shared this post here on Instagram where I talked about the difference between a reactive leader from a reactive leader. And I got to tell you, a lot of managers are living in this reactive zone, and as a result are seeing the poor results that come from living in this zone. Oftentimes I will talk to managers and I will literally hear them say things like, Mac, I am so enjoying the chaos. And automatically when people say things like that to me, I have like all these red flags go off because I know already that balls are being dropped or that they will burn themselves or their teams out very shortly because it is not a sustainable or even effective way to lead. So what I want to do actually, and I want you to hit the subscribe and notification bell, because what I want to do is drive into this and talk a little bit more about how you can pull yourself out of being a reactive leader to being more of a proactive leader. And I'm going to share a strategy that I use with my accelerator students to help them be more proactive. I'm going to do a top level overview for you so that I can help you just stop living in the chaos and be far more practical and intentional with your daily like routines and the way that you lead your team. All right, friends, that's pretty much it for me today. I hope that you found this video to be insightful. And if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And actually, while you're at it, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know if any of these like poor leadership habits kind of resonated for you, like if you've seen another manager do it, or if you've been kind of guilty of this in the past yourself. Let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, I hope you have a fantastic week. Do not forget to keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.